pushed my grocery cart through Trader Joe's with one hand and held my phone with the other. I just have nothing to say. I knew what I wanted to do. I've been thinking about it for weeks now, and then I started looking into it, and the further I looked, the less I liked it. And now I have no inspiration and no energy, and do you think I could just maybe revamp a sermon I've already written? We've been circling this topic for about 30 minutes now. My friend sighed. No, you can't revamp a sermon you've already written. Think. What's the real problem here? I don't know. I'm stuck. What do we do when we get stuck? I'm not talking about skirt versus suit. I'm not talking about Thai food versus Mexican food. I'm talking about the kind of stuck that brings everything to a standstill. 3 weeks ago, I had 5 sermon outlines and 0 desire to finish even one of them. I wanted to drosh on decision-making and being proactive, but that didn't seem new or compelling. Don't we all want to be proactive? What was my finish? What was I going to bring to the text? I didn't know. Author Lewis Carroll describes the problem of these 3 words, I don't know, beautifully. He writes, Alice came to a fork in the road. She asked, which road do I take? The Cheshire Cat smiled. Where do you want to go? I don't know, answered Alice. Ah, said the cat. Well, then it doesn't matter. For the free spirits in the room, perhaps this sounds like the beginning of a grand adventure. But for others, it carries the echoes of something much more ominous. Allow me to offer a rewrite. Clonete came to the end of her schooling. How should I prepare for the real world? She asked. And every person she ever had a conversation with replied, what kind of rabbi do you want to be? I don't know, Clonete responded. And the bluntest of people replied, well then, it doesn't matter. When was the last time you said, I don't know? When was the last time you spoke those 3 words, not because you didn't care, but because the decision you were being asked to make was really, really hard? When was the last time you felt stuck? Maybe you just had 4 phenomenal interviews at another campus near here, and now you don't know which position to pursue. Maybe you thought you might be in love, but you weren't sure. Or perhaps your brother just called and asked, is it time to put mom in a home? Philosophy professor Ruth Chang teaches that when we have hard choices to make, we often get stuck in a paradigm of better, worse, or equal, trying to decide which choice is better than the others. Professor Chang suggests that when the choice is hard, it's not about better, worse, or equal. The choice is not even really about the options at all. It's about the person who must choose between the options. She explains, when we choose between options that are on a par, we can do something really rather remarkable. We can put our very selves behind an option. Here's where I stand. Here's who I am. The reasons behind our decisions must come from our very core. When we do that, Professor Chang says, we wholeheartedly become the people that we are. You might say that we become the authors of our own lives. When I read these words, I was elated and then devastated. This was exactly the message I wanted to share with you all. But Ruth Chang had already said it. And she wasn't the only one. Everyone from French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre to fictional wizard Albus Dumbledore has voiced some version of this concept. Sartre condensed it into a mere 4 words. We are our choices. It was that short sentence which crystallized my come to Coquelette moment. One generation goes, another comes, but the earth remains the same forever. Ve'ein kol chadash tachat hashemesh. There is nothing new under the sun. Why even bother writing a sermon when other very smart people have already delivered my point so beautifully? I was stuck. So I started talking to people. Rabbi Stephanie Colin suggested doing unexpected things to shake off the stuckness. She suggested I choose to let the world surprise me. Imagine that. Imagine giving the world permission to be surprising. We spend our days driving the same streets, walking in and out of the same buildings, without ever really paying attention. What would we see if we really looked at everything we saw? What changes when we notice the moment of Ma'ariv Aravim, when the sun sets over the Pacific Ocean and everything turns orange? What happens when we feel every single grain that traces the lines of our feet? Who do we become when we set an intention for our Psalms translation with a Mishaberach L'Cholim, for a friend of a friend who needs healing? How would we act if we allowed ourselves to be radically amazed? My moment came last Monday night. I was barreling over the 405 at 9:30 p.m., driving the same streets, staring blankly through my window shield at the same scenery: Topanga Canyon, Sherman Oaks Galleria, the Getty, Sunset Boulevard. All week, I'd been thinking about Rabbi Colin's advice. All week, I had been trying to allow the world to amaze me, which seems so ironic. How can one be surprised when one is looking to be surprised? And then my iPod shuffled to Natasha Bedingfield's song, Unwritten. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it. Release your inhibitions, feel the rain on your skin. I didn't even know I was singing until I realized what I'd stopped. Natasha Bedingfield, Abraham Joshua Heschel, not so different after all. Somehow, hearing those silly pop lyrics come out of my mouth made me listen to them differently, made me understand them differently. And in that moment, something broke open, something came unstuck. I felt relief, I felt positive, I felt clear-headed. I could breathe again. And then I remembered. Rabbi Michael Marmer called it zooming in. When he worked with me in preparation for my first 3-minute drosh at HUC in Israel, he told me to talk about the thing I wanted to drosh about and nothing else. He suggested I find one word to focus on and make like Rabbi Ben Bagbag, turning it over and over again, searching for something surprising within the familiar words. So when I got home that night, my ears still ringing, I zoomed in on an insight Rabbi Deborah Weisberg clarified with me in the very beginning of this sermon writing process. Rabbi Weisberg pointed out that the laws in this week's parasha Mishpatim fall pretty cleanly into 2 categories. First, we have casuistic laws, characterized by their when X, then Y structure. When a fire is started and it spreads too far, then the one who started the fire must make restitution. When you happen upon your enemy's donkey wandering around, then you must return it to its owner. These laws are, by nature, reactive. They present the proper way to react to an occurrence. Most of the laws of Mishpatim fall into this category. A second category of laws, however, is more directive. You shall not wrong or oppress a stranger, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt. You must not carry false rumors. You shall neither side with the mighty to do wrong, nor shall you show deference to the poor person in his need. We are not told, if you see a stranger, then you must not wrong her. Or when you hear a rumor, do not spread it. We're told simply to do. These kind of laws teach us to deal justly with both poor and rich, to avoid rumors, and to utilize our memory of being a stranger in our interactions with strangers. These propel us to be proactive, forming the bedrock of Reform Judaism's beloved ethical laws. They teach us to act, to aspire to a values-based life rooted in justice, honesty, and empathy. To live a life in which we choose to act, not only because we see a thing happen, but because of who we are. And there it was. There was my connection. There was the answer to my I don't know. We choose to act because of who we are. We choose because of who we are. And we are who we choose to be. So on those days when we are stuck, for those times when we cannot find the answers to our I don't knows, I offer these de-sticking methods. Number 1, call your Hebruta. Talmud teaches, O Hebruta, O Matuta, which I'm pretty sure is Aramaic for phone a friend. Build relationships with people you can count on. People who will talk you down and remind you that the mere fact that you are you means that you have a unique perspective, that you have something to bring to the table. Number 2, Ola Heschel. Let the world radically amaze you. Let your guard down. Sing louder. Number 3, be Ben Dagbag. In life and in sermon writing, zoom in. The world is big and overwhelming. Find something specific. Study it, distill it, learn it inside and out. Hatochba, v'hatochba. And last, ask. Where does this something you want to say bubble up from? Why do you want to share it? And if the answers to those questions are compelling, then it doesn't matter that you want to drosh on the same message that Jean-Paul Sartre came up with 75 years ago. Because even when you're stuck, you're you. Every morning we wake up with 24 hours more experience at being alive than we had yesterday, which means we know more, which means we always have something new to teach and something new to learn. There is something new under the sun after all.